Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wondered if that gut feeling you have about a patient is scientifically sound, or are you a researcher struggling to make sense of complex single-case data in neuropsychology? Well, this new approach might just be your answer by blending the best of old and new statistical thinking. So, in neuropsychology, we often look at individual people after brain injuries or with specific conditions. These single cases are super important because they can show us things that we just can't see when we average data from lots of people. Think about it. If a huge group of people all have a similar deficit, it is hard to tell what is truly going on. But when one person shows a very specific problem, like being able to draw a clock face but not understanding what the numbers mean, it gives us a real window into how the brain works. Researchers have used single cases to understand all sorts of things. For example, they helped us learn about Gerstmann syndrome, which involves problems with finger naming, left-right orientation, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. By studying just one person with this syndrome, scientists figured out it is not just damage to one tiny spot in the brain, but more likely a disconnection between different brain areas. We've also learned about how our body awareness affects memory and how a specific kind of memory loss can happen in Alzheimer's disease, or how some people can remember their lives incredibly well even as they age. Now, explaining these amazing single cases statistically has always been a bit tricky. Traditionally, doctors would compare a patient's score on a test to what is considered normal for a big group of healthy people. It is practical, like a quick check. But these normative cutoffs aren't always great at spotting problems, or they might flag someone as abnormal when they're really not. Then came a really popular method developed by Crawford and his team. This approach compares a single patient directly to a small group of control participants. It is like saying, how does this one person's performance stack up against their peers? This was a big step because it helped researchers control for mistakes and understand the likelihood of their findings. It could also look at more complex situations, like comparing someone across different tasks. But even this improved method had its limits. It wasn't great for super complicated study designs with lots of factors or when data from the same person or controls were related. Also, it sometimes made it harder to say for sure if a patient's performance was actually similar to controls, which is important in real life. And it wasn't always ideal for all types of data, like just counting correct answers. To address these issues, a newer method called Bayesian multi-level single case analysis, or BMSE for short, was developed. This uses a powerful statistical framework called Bayesian statistics. Think of it as a way to update our beliefs as we see more data. BMSE can handle complicated study designs, different types of data. And it can even help us test both if someone is different from the control group, the alternative hypothesis, and if they're actually quite similar, the null hypothesis. They use something called Bayes factors, which are like a score telling us how much evidence we have for one idea over another. Scroll, however, the BM.